Hello, this is Nightline and I'm Raymond Go. News making the headlines. The nation braces for more floods as heavy rains expected to continue. And High Court rules vernacular schools are constitutional. Good morning. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Wednesday advised the people, especially those in the East Coast, Johor and Sabah, to brace themselves for a possible second wave of massive floods. Comptroller of the Royal Household for Istana Negara, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, said the royal advice followed the yellow alert of continuous rain issued by the Meteorological Department on Tuesday for the states of Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, Johor and Sabah. While expressing concern about the people's well-being, Dato' Ahmad Fadil said the King also called on all quarters to learn from previous flood experiences to overcome the shortcomings in facing any eventuality, especially in handling post-flood matters. Al-Sultan Abdullah also advised the relevant government agencies and local authorities to stay vigilant and proactive in ensuring the highest level of preparedness, coordination and management to face the next wave of floods. The King also expressed hope and confidence that early preparations would enable proper actions, rescue operations and assistance for the flood victims. The Drainage and Irrigation Department DID predicts that floods will occur in Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang and Johor later this week. The flood warning comes after continuous rain was predicted by the Malaysian Meteorological Department on December 28th. In Kelantan, it is expected that floods will occur starting 8 p.m. on December 31st at Sungai Kelantan and Sungai Golok. In a statement on Wednesday, the DID said the floods will involve several districts near Sungai Kelantan. The DID also predicted flooding in Terengganu will start on December 31st at 8 a.m. near Sungai Besut, involving the district of Besut. Dungun, which is close to Sungai Dungun, is also predicted to flood starting December 31st. For Pahang, the DID predicted floods will start on January 1st near Sungai Pahang, Sungai Kuantan and Sungai Rompin at 8 a.m. It is expected the overflow of Sungai Kuantan will affect Kuantan, especially Sungai Lembing area, and Sungai Rompin, involving the Rompin district as well as the surrounding areas that are at risk of flooding. The DID said floods might take place on January 1st in Johor, near Sungai Mersing, involving the Mersing district and surrounding areas that are at risk starting at 8 a.m. It also advised residents in low-lying areas to take precautions and follow the authorities' instructions. Meanwhile, the government will provide 1.4 billion ringgit in cash aid and other forms of relief to those devastated by severe floods this month. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the government's relief measures would include direct cash aid for at least 30,000 affected households, death benefits, relief on utility bills and vehicle repairs. In a statement, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said that the aid will also include funds for post-flood cleaning and reconstruction, particularly in the worst-hit states of Selangor and Pahang. The Prime Minister also instructed government agencies to ensure that flood victims do not have to face any red tape when applying for assistance. He said he understands the importance of cash for flood victims right now and noted that the state governments have been giving out 1,000 ringgit in Bantuan Wang Ihsan BWI payments since Monday. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, has already channeled the initial allocation of 34 million ringgit in BWI to 11 states affected by the floods. In addition, 25 beneficiaries have already received 10,000 ringgit each as the next of kin of victims who perished in the disaster. He said the Housing and Local Government Ministry has increased the number of contractors that it has hired to expedite the work of collecting, cleaning and sending waste from the floods to landfills. The government has allocated an additional 10 million ringgit to finance flood waste collection services, as well as to clean up roads, public facilities and victims' homes. As of Tuesday, a total of 3,000 tons of flood waste had been cleared in the 4 states and federal territories which were worst hit by the floods, namely Selangor, Pahang, Negeri Sembilan, Melaka and Kuala Lumpur. The existence of vernacular schools does not in any way contravene the federal constitution. According to this ruling by the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Wednesday, the use of Chinese and Tamil languages in these schools does not breach the constitution. The High Court held that vernacular schools in the country were in line with provisions enshrined in the federal constitution that protects the usage of mother tongue languages in teaching. The Federation of Peninsular Malay Students, GPMS, Islamic Education Development Council, MAPIM, and Confederation of Malaysian Writers Association, GAPENA, had filed a lawsuit in December 2019 seeking the closure of vernacular schools. Justice Dato Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali said the plaintiffs had not succeeded in showing how their rights were constitutionally infringed by vernacular education. The plaintiffs had, among others, claimed that vernacular schools were unconstitutional and violated the Constitution, which states that Bahasa Melayu was the national language. The judge noted that there was no indication whatsoever that the existence of vernacular schools had violated anyone's rights and fundamental liberties. According to Dato Nazlan, it was not an offence to teach in any language other than Bahasa Melayu, which is stipulated in the federal constitution. He added that vernacular schools are also covered under the Education Act 1996. In other news, Port Klang handled a record-breaking container volume of 13.64 million 20-foot equivalent units, TEUs, as of December 28, 2021. It surpassed its 2019 record of 13.58 million TEUs, despite the many challenges of COVID-19, as well as the spillover effects of container shortages, port congestions, and most recently, adverse weather conditions. In a statement on Wednesday, Transport Minister Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong said this growth was attributed largely to the government's proactive measures to facilitate Malaysia's port and logistics sector during the COVID-19 pandemic, keeping the industry ticking towards meeting the demands of both domestic and international markets. He said a big part of this success was due to the commitment and coordinated efforts of Port Klang's logistics players and government agencies led by Port Klang Authority. With a gradual reopening of the global economy in 2021, the Transport Minister said container volume handled at Port Klang regained its momentum.
"2022, bold measures, tough reforms. What areas can be further improved for Malaysia's economic recovery in the coming year? What are the key challenges for the nation's growth? Will Malaysia's economic recovery gain momentum in 2022? Malaysia's economic outlook with the World Bank on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Still to come on Nightline, Serba Dynamic CEO charged with furnishing false statement. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In Kuala Lumpur, a foreign worker died in a freak accident involving a crane at a construction site on Jalan Kuchai Maju at the Kuchai Entrepreneur Park on Wednesday. Brickville's District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Amihizam Abdul Shuko said an iron pole from the crane was unstable during the lowering process, which then fell and crushed the victim.
Tadi tengah masak dengan orang menjerit. Kali menjerit, ingat apa? Rupanya saya pergi lagi, pergi tengok suami Indon tu jatuh, tengok otak dia tersepai. Dia punya otak yang kepala tempurung tu terkeluar dengan muka dia sebelah. Tak ada kan?
Police said the 42-year-old victim died at the scene due to severe head and body injuries. His body was then taken to the Kuala Lumpur hospital while further investigations were carried out. In Johor, Tangkak's district police chief and 2 other police personnel are facing disciplinary action for supervisory negligence that caused Long Tiger to escape from Tangkak Magistrates Court lockup. State Police Chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Piche said the officers involved in Long Tiger's escape on December 15th are now temporarily suspended from duty pending the outcome of the investigation.
Pihak Polis Johor juga telah membuka kertas siasatan tata tertib ke atas Ketua Polis Daerah, Ketua Polis Balai dan juga seorang inspektor ketentaman awam daripada Balai Tangkap. Ini kita siasat di bawah kertas siasatan tertib kerana dari segi aspek penyeliaan, tuan-tuan. Kalau nanti kita dah siap kertas siasatan tertib, kita akan panjangkan ke Jeep Bukit Aman untuk penilaian dan tindakan susulan, tuan-tuan.
On Tuesday, police arrested Long Tiger, also known as Abdul Hamim, almost 2 weeks after he escaped from the magistrate's court lockup in Tangkak. The court had then issued a remand order for 4 days for Long Tiger on Wednesday to facilitate a probe. The Johor police chief added that other than the arrests of Abdul Hamim and his 46-year-old male accomplice in Kedah on Tuesday, 2 more male suspects, aged 36 and 38 in Batu Pahat, were also taken into custody on Wednesday morning. Serba Dynamic Holdings Berhad Chief Executive Officer Dr. Muhammad Abdul Karim Abdullah has been charged by the Securities Commission Malaysia, SC, for furnishing a false statement to Bursa Malaysia. At the Sessions Court on Wednesday, Dato' Abdul Karim, in his capacity as a director of the group, was charged under the Capital Markets and Services Act 2007 CMSA. The charge involved a false statement contained in the oil and gas company's quarterly report for the quarter ended December 31st, 2020. As Dato' Abdul Karim was a director of the group, he is deemed to have committed the offence under the CMSA, punishable under the same act. Before Sessions Court Judge Datin Sabaria Othman on Wednesday, Dato' Abdul Karim pleaded not guilty and claimed trial. The judge set 500,000 ringgit bail with 2 sureties and also ordered Dato' Abdul Karim to report to an SC investigative officer pursuant to a schedule to be determined by the Commission at a later date. Additionally, the accused was not ordered to surrender his passport to the court but was firmly reminded to ensure that he attends future court proceedings. If found guilty, Dato' Abdul Karim is liable to a jail term of up to 10 years and a fine not exceeding 3 million ringgit. The SC, in a media release on Tuesday, said the false statement submitted to Bursa was in relation to a 6 billion ringgit revenue figure contained in the quarterly report. Meanwhile, in Pulau Pinang, a Bangladeshi construction worker was charged at the Georgetown Magistrates Court with murdering his girlfriend on December 4th. However, no plea was recorded from 37-year-old accused Kamaruzzaman, as the case was under the jurisdiction of the High Court. According to the charge sheets, he was accused of causing the death of 45-year-old Indonesian citizen Sumita. The accused allegedly committed the act at a residential unit in Sri Nipa, Medan Nipa, Sungai Dua between 9:30 p.m. on December 4th and 1:20 a.m. on December 6th. The accused was charged under the Penal Code, which carries the mandatory death sentence upon conviction. In a further development, Kamaruzaman was sentenced to 5 months in prison after pleading guilty to the charge of overstaying in Malaysia without reasonable cause when his passport expired on May 12, 2019. The government will make a decision on the proposed abolishment of the death penalty once a special committee submits their findings. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said a committee established in 2019 was set up to gauge the public's response to the proposal as well as to examine the ramifications of such a decision. In a statement on Wednesday, the minister said the committee was asked to look at the issue from several aspects, as well as to take into consideration the views of various stakeholders. Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi said there have been repeated calls to abolish the death penalty, and as a minister, he needed to assess the effectiveness of these punishments as a deterrent. He noted that the proposal must be studied thoroughly before making any decision, as there's also the need to see if rehabilitation of convicts would be a better option in the best interests of society. He added that the study on the issue was in line with the government's aspirations to rehabilitate criminals and assimilate them back into the community. Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi said the committee's findings would be presented to the Cabinet and a final decision would only be made after that. He said the bill to amend death penalty legislation, as well as other relevant laws, are expected to be tabled in Parliament by the third quarter of next year. New Zealand reports first community exposure to Omicron. This and more when we return. The World Health Organization (WHO) warned on Wednesday that the Omicron variant still poses very high risk and could overwhelm healthcare systems. The warning came as the highly transmissible coronavirus variant fueled record outbreaks in the United States and several European countries. According to the WHO, consistent evidence shows that the Omicron variant has a growth advantage over the Delta variant, with a doubling time of 2 to 3 days. It was also understood that rapid increases in the incidence of cases is seen in a number of countries, including Britain and the United States, where it has become the dominant variant. In the U.S., cases recorded by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, rose by 441,278 on December 27th, by far the highest number of daily cases ever reported to the agency. CDC data tracker said a surge in cases is coinciding with the New Year holidays, normally a period of parties and travel. Over in Europe, France, Britain, Greece and Portugal all reported record daily cases on Tuesday, with France reporting almost 180,000 infections over 24 hours. This has led many nations in the region to bring back curbs with heavy economic and social consequences, like shutting nightclubs and forcing sports competitions behind closed doors. At the same time, New Zealand reported its first community exposure to the Omicron variant from a person arriving from the United Kingdom earlier this month. The person, who tested positive for the Omicron variant, had briefly been active in the community in Auckland. Local media reported the person visited a nightclub, a bar, Chinese restaurant and a jeweller's. Investigations are currently underway as to the source of the infection, and public health officials are in the process of identifying and contacting all other known close contacts and ensuring they isolate and get tested. The community exposure was announced just hours after 17 Omicron cases were detected at the border on Wednesday, the highest daily increase since the variant arrived in New Zealand on December 16th. The country has now detected a total of 71 Omicron cases at the border, reflecting the explosion of cases in countries such as Australia and the US. Hong Kong's pro-democracy Stand News online media outlet is ceasing operations on Wednesday, following a police raid and the arrests of 7 current or former staff on suspected seditious publication offences. According to Stand News in a statement, one of those arrested was Ronson Chan, its deputy assignment editor, who is also the head of the Hong Kong Journalists Association. It also said that its acting editor-in-chief, Patrick Lam, had resigned and all employees had been dismissed. Board members were also among those held. The raid further raises concerns about media freedoms in the former British colony, which returned to Chinese rule in 1997, with a promise that a wide range of individual rights would be protected. Thailand close in on their 6th AFF Suzuki Cup title. Sports is up next. Football, the AFF Suzuki Cup. Chanatip Songkrasin scored twice as Thailand closed in on their 6th title with a 4-0 thumping of Indonesia in the first leg of the final on Wednesday. The Thai skipper opened the scoring in the 2nd minute when he slotted in a pass from Philip Roller to make it 1-0. Chanatip then doubled the lead 7 minutes after the interval, after he fired a low shot past Nadio Agawinata for his 4th goal of the tournament. Supachok Sarachat rifled home a shot from outside the box to make it 3-0 in the 67th minute, before Bodin Pala added the fourth 7 minutes from time to give the Thais a huge advantage ahead of the second leg match on January 1st. And that's it for Nightline. Over in Belarus, as part of a Christmas charity event, several climbers dressed as Santa Claus climbed down from a rooftop of a hospital building to distribute presents to sick children through the windows. That's quite a sight. Let's take a look. I'm Raymond Go. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe.